But to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Shadows sleeping in the dead of night. I light the match, they feel my fight. Street light flicker like a war zone flare. They see me rise, they won't dare. Some men cracks under my stride. Whispers chase me, they collide. Gun dreams heavy like gold chains. Every sorrow that screams my name. Be legendary, feel the fire in your chest. No second guessing, this is your test. Be legendary, break the cage.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Hoosier Legends Conference podcast. I am your co-host, Justin Spears, joined, as always, each and every week by my co-host, Mr. Mike Walden. Mike, it was a beautiful Wednesday fall evening. I got to go out and enjoy a little bit of soccer tonight as we called our girls matchup against Bishop Shiptard from home tonight. That was a lot of fun. How have you spent your Wednesday evening so far?
Hey, as you can see, I have no video. That's how my Wednesday night is going so far. So I know everybody watches this podcast just to see your beautiful face anyway, so it's still a win for them. I don't know, Wednesday has been an okay night, right? I got to see a little bit of that game as well. I got to honk my horn a little bit. I was sitting in my truck waiting to pick up my youngest son, and saw that great goal by Steffi. It was a tremendous goal. So, unfortunately, Tri-West did end up losing the game, but our girls competed. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're really excited to bring episode number 4 to you guys tonight as we continue on highlighting some of the great things that are happening in the Hoosier Legends Conference. I had an opportunity to talk to our AD, Coach Knapp, a little bit before that soccer match tonight. He said he had an AD meeting for the conference ADs this week, and really got some good praise from the ADs about what we're trying to do here. And again, that's what it's all about. We want to celebrate the young men and women in all of our conference schools and the great accomplishments and the time and effort and energy that they're putting in. So as we continue to bring new content to you each and every week, we encourage you to help us grow the show. And that only happens organically. We don't have sponsors. We're not paying, any kind of SEO to make the show come up in digital platforms. So likes, comments, and shares, anything helps on that. If you like what we're doing here, let us know. If there's things that you have for feedback, let us know that as well. We're continuing to pump out content on our X account, which again, you can find us on. I know initially I said I'm going to call it Twitter. I've been calling it X, but over on Twitter, you can find we're posting out all kinds of stuff over there. Our account, we post highlights, results, things of that nature. Again, you can email us. Here's our email, HoosierLegendsPodcast@gmail.com. You can catch the show each and every week on YouTube. We usually post it up the night that we record or the next morning. And again, over on YouTube, we're at Hoosier Legends Podcast. And then we always post the feed up on our Spotify channel as well, Hoosier Legends Weekly Podcast. So lots of different ways in which you can get in contact with us and let us know how we're doing, follow the content that we're putting together, again, to celebrate what is going on with our conference. And it's been great so far. We've got some really, really good things going on that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to be able to do a little bit of a deeper dive tonight than what we have been in the first 3 episodes. We've only got 3 conference matchups this week in football. We were able to secure a little bit more of some results online. So that's great stuff. Again, we want to spread the love around and make sure we shout out as many people as possible. So let's go ahead and transition into our legendary performance spotlight for the night. And Mike, I think you're going to showcase something that I think is a pretty big accomplishment here that definitely deserves the legendary performance spotlight.
Yeah, absolutely. Speedway's boys soccer coach, Dean Hevelin, 100th career win yesterday. That is an amazing accomplishment. Dean has a record of 131-9. He had 5 Indiana Crossroad Conferences titles from 19 to 23. He had 4 sectional championships, 19, 21, 22, and 23. We want to give a big shout out to Coach Dean. Awesome. right? That's what we're here for. We're here for these coaches that do amazing jobs and probably don't get the publicity that they actually deserve. Way to go, Coach. I also want to hit on the player of the week. What can we say about Carson Parks? 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 1 receiving. Just an absolute dominant performance by Beech Grove football, again, going 3-0. And I'm probably going to say it every week here, Justin, but who saw this coming, right? Beech Grove is just on a tear right now. They're getting praise from everybody all over the place about how great they're playing, and that's just what happens when good coaching, players listening to coaches and performing well on Friday nights, good things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of praise, well-deserved down there on the south side as they're doing some great stuff with that football program. And we wish them continued success throughout the remainder of the season. So congratulations to those guys down there. Something else that we wanted to try to do this week too, because we got a little bit more time, and I started doing a little bit of research this week, because I know we have at Tri-West a couple of ranked teams. So I wanted to go and look and see what else in the conference do we have in terms of representation with state rankings. And I was shocked, that we have a few teams. I mean, when you're talking about being ranked in the top 20 or 25 teams in the whole entire state, football is obviously a little bit deeper classes going to 6A, but some of these other sports, you could be a smaller school playing against much bigger schools in terms of competition. And to be ranked means that you're doing some really good stuff here. So I thought we would take an opportunity to quickly kind of look at where we're at with our fall sports and see where we're at here. So let's kick it off here with 3A football. Tri-West holds on at number 9, and Indian Creek cracks the top 10, coming in at number 10. Indian Creek is 3-0 for the first time since 2014. So congratulations to the Braves down there. And in 2A, Triton Central jumps up 3 spots from 7 to 4 after their road win at Tri-West last week, which we will talk about a little bit more later on in the show here. So 3 football teams from the Legends Conference are represented in the top 10 in their classes. And like we said, Beech Grove, definitely knocking on the door there. They may be, if they continue their success in that lineup here relatively soon. On the boys soccer side, Speedway comes in at number 12. We just highlighted their program there. Number 12 in the 2A ISCA high school boys soccer poll. The Spark Plugs are 5-1-2 on the season, with their lone loss coming to number 2 ranked Park Tudor. So if you know soccer in the state of Indiana, Park Tudor is a powerhouse. They're currently ranked at number 2. And being Speedway is currently being led by senior Kendrick Kaiser, who's averaging 2.7 goals per game. That's phenomenal. That's really, really coming every game for your team. So congratulations to those guys. On the girls soccer side, Tri-West, we mentioned the loss tonight. Nothing to be ashamed of, losing to a ranked Chatard team, I believe ranked number 6 in the state. Tri-West comes in at number 19 in the 2A ISCA girls poll. Lady Bruins were on a roll. They are now 6-3 on the season. They've won 5 in a row prior to tonight, and had only given up 1 goal in that stretch. Now they lost 3-1 tonight, but again, a very talented team that they played this evening. Nothing to be ashamed of whatsoever. One of those goals was a PK, just to let you know that it wasn't even a live ball goal. So again, amazing work from the Tri-West Lady Bruins. And then on the volleyball side, the IHSAA Volleyball Coaches Association poll has Tri-West at number 19. The Lady Bruins have been playing very solid volleyball lately, going 8-1 in their last 9 matches, with their only loss coming to 4A number 5 Crown Point. Junior Caroline Ward was also named American Volleyball Coaches Association Max Preps Player of the Week in the state of Indiana. So great things coming out of the Tri-West volleyball program. So just to highlight some of the great things statewide that are happening in this conference. And I know before the end of the season, fall season, we're going to see more going on there. So Mike, any thoughts or comments on that before we move into our individual school recaps?
No, I think this is the reason why we joined a new conference, right? We wanted better competition all the way around, and that's what we're seeing, and it's amazing. I do want to highlight again Caroline Ward. I don't know a lot about volleyball. I enjoy watching it. My son played a little bit, so that it's a fun game. But when it comes to kills and digs and assists and whatever, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know a lot about it, but I do know that Caroline Ward is amazing at getting kills. Against 4A Carmel, the largest school in the state, she ended up having 17 kills, right? And a couple games ago, she ended up having 22 kills. And when I'm looking at the other team and their stats, no one is even coming close to what Caroline is doing. So I know she's doing an absolutely amazing job, and she well deserves that Player of the Week for sure. And Justin, before we start moving on to what we originally had, I just kind of added something in to our lineup. You watch Family Guy, and Peter talks about what grinds my gears. Well, I'm going to go on a rant about what grinds my gears. And that's classes, right? When we're talking about football, soccer, and volleyball, I think the IHSAA has done a great job of classing those sports out, right? Having a 6A for the 16 largest schools versus 5A, which is the smaller schools, of the big school selection. That makes a lot of sense to me. It makes sense in soccer and in volleyball to have, they started off with one class and moved to two, and now they have three classes. And I think, baseball and basketball and softball, right, they are all classed. But why is boys tennis and golf, right, not classed? Why is wrestling not classed? Why is swimming not classed? Why is track and field not classed? To me, it makes no sense whatsoever. Anytime one of our teams is going to go up against a Brownsburg, Zionsville, Fishers team, it's not going to be good, especially in the sectionals type of atmosphere, right? I can go on and on about swimming and how Carmel's won 155 million state championships in a row. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I do think it's like in the 30s, right? For the girls, and the boys are either at 30 or in the upper 20s. Tri-West and most of the teams here in the Legends Conference really don't stand a chance in those sports to win, sectionals, regionals, semi-state, state championships in those. So please, if you're listening and you're an AD, or if you have somebody that can actually make a difference, please get these sports classed. Every single sport needs to be classed. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know that in talking to our tennis coach at Tri-West, and I coach boys golf, so I'm definitely an advocate for that. I think it makes a lot of sense because exactly for the reason you hit the nail right on the head. When it comes down to sectional time, if you are in the greater Indianapolis area on the outskirts away from, any kind of like Noblesville, Fishers, Zionsville, Brownsburg, Avon, you get a little bit further out, you're still going up against that competition more than likely in a sectional, and you just don't stand a chance. And you would love for your team. You could have a really, really solid team, win your conference, win some individual tourney titles or what have you, but then just have no shot to move forward in the state championship. And so, I know it's definitely not like the everybody should deserve a trophy type thing, but I do think it makes a difference when you're talking about talent pool, when you look at the difference between a school that has 4,000 students in Brownsburg and a school that has 580 in Tri-West that's separated by 8 miles or whatever it is, right? And so then you can continue to add that on. I know my son wrestles, and our sectional, we might squeeze a wrestler or two out as an individual, but our team stands no chance. And so, you see that in other sports as well. So no, I'm totally on board with you on that, Mike. I couldn't agree more.
And just to put an exclamation point on it, we talked about kids who transfer to other schools, and one of them, we lost a couple kids to Brownsburg, and we talked about them having like an over $1 million, close to $2 million brand new golf simulator, right? We have that, that's this Brownsburg. I'm going to pick on them a little bit because they've just redone their whole system or their whole school But you look at their indoor facilities, right? They have amazing indoor track. They have amazing indoor basketball. They have, I guess everything's indoor in basketball, but you understand what I'm saying. They,
Hmm.
it's, it is not apples to apples when you're talking about the amount of money some school corporations have and some don't have, right? We just cannot fiscally compete with those. Now, do we have athletes on an individual basis that can compete? Absolutely. We had Brock DeBello finish second in the 400 meter in track and field, right? That he has a school record. That was one of our best athletes to come through Tri-West. That's one kid, but as a team, right? Nothing's happening when we're going against in our track sectional Avon, Brownsburg, and Zionsville, right? So
Hmm.
I'm not trying to whine. I'm just trying to, let everybody out there know that it's a complete difference when it comes to the talent pool and the amount of money these schools have versus rural schools who don't have it, right?
Hmm.
So even
Hmm.
they've noticed that in track and field, they have an indoor track and field. It's not sponsored by the IHSAA, but they still have small school and large school track and field championships, right? And all they do is base it off of football, right? If you're in class
Hmm.
4, 5, or 6, you're in big school. If you're in class 1, 2, or 3, you're in small school. Tell me why the
Yeah.
IHSAA can't do it. I mean that
Yeah.
is simple. And I'm also going to say, just because I have the mic right now, I'm going to say it. All all private and parochial schools need to be in the big school conference. Just going to put it out there.
I'm not going to disagree. Honestly, I mean, I don't have any. Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. If you're able to select the cream of the crop and the best of the best, then I think you ought to play up, and I agree with that 100%. So. Yeah, I think there's work to be done on that side, and I know there's a lot of moving pieces and parts that may prevent some of that stuff from happening, in a timely manner. Hopefully, the more we bang the gong, and try to rattle the cage and get more people to talk about it, the more we might move closer and closer to it. So, yeah, no, it's definitely good to kind of air those voices out there and let people kind of know where we stand on that. So,
All
all
right,
right, well,
my
I think
my
we
blood pressure is going down. All right, it's going down. I'm back.
talk you
I'm
off the
back.
ledge, talk you off the
Yeah.
ledge, right? All right. Let's go ahead and jump into then our conference recap. We do this every week where we try to go around the conference to each of the schools and give a shout out to what is going on in each of these fall programs. Once again, I throw this caveat out there that if you are a member of one of these programs or school districts and you have information, please feel free to shoot it over to us. I cannot tell you how much time the both of us put into trying to source some of this. Sometimes, everything's laid on a silver platter on Max Preps. Sometimes it's pushed through on X accounts. Sometimes we get it, secondhand. It helps us so much. If you would love to hear your players being shouted out, results being read on the podcast, please just shoot us a quick email with a recap or point us in the direction of where we can go to get your team's information, because we would love to be able to do this more thoroughly for all schools across the board. So with that being said, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you to start us off with the Beech Grove Hornets.
Mikey Renfro and Harmony Burks. Those two names you need to know. Those were the Alford Insurance Athletes of the Month here at Beech Grove. Congratulations to those two. They are recognized for their hard work, their talent, and their leadership, both on and off the field. We talk about it a lot of times when these are student athletes, and when those athletes are students as well, when they're leaders in their town, they get recognized. So congratulations, Mikey and Harmony, for being the Alford Insurance Athletes of the Month. And once again, as Justin talked about, we're not sponsored by anybody. I think that's a Beech Grove sponsorship. So to support Beech Grove, check out Alford Insurance. We're talking about Beech Grove cross country now. Those boys placed 22nd at the Terre Haute North State Preview Meet last Saturday. Senior Isaac Martinez paced the Hornets with a 6:06 time. He ended up finishing just under 19 minutes. Nathan Kinder came in with a 6:08 pace, so that's a great job for Isaac and Nathan. Way to go there. On the girls placed an impressive 12th out of 22. The girls were led by senior Aguilar, who ran a 6:35 pace and placed 30th overall. Junior Layla Muffler finished at 45th overall and ran a 6:48 pace. Lady Hornets and the boys team cross country are killing it out there. Nice job. I know their flag football program, I'm not sure how they did against Ron Colley. I think they played them yesterday, and today they're playing Kip High School. They were
yes, and I think I saw they – sorry, Mike. I think I saw they beat Kip tonight, like 27-16 maybe. I briefly saw an post come up on it.
Okay, yeah, I know that they were in at halftime, so that's phenomenal. Way to go, girls. Boys soccer. Boys have been off since August 30th, but last night they took on Indiana Math and Science Academy. It was a close contest, but unfortunately they came up a little bit short. Sophomore Adelaide Courage with the goal of the Hornets. Was that you writing that down there, Justin?
Hey, man, I just pull them like they're written.
I apologize. What do you think that is? Is that Andile?
I'm guessing Andile Courage Magweezy.
Andile. That makes way much more sense. Andile. And how do you say his last name? Magweezy?
Magweezy?
Yeah, great. Hey,
sorry,
you know what?
if you watch that.
Dude, the dude has courage, man, and congratulations to that kid. So that's awesome. Girls soccer, unfortunately, they dropped a tough one to Perry Meridian on Saturday. On Monday night, the Lady Hornets dropped a match to Ben Davis, 6-1. Junior Harper Moore found the back of the net in that match, so congratulations to her. And then we're talking about Beech Grove volleyball. They dropped a close contest to Purdue Polytechnic, 3-2 last Thursday. And then Bostonford are one of their conference matchups to Indian Creek on Monday. Tonight, they are on the road to Monrovia, so good luck to both of them. A big Legends conference matchup there.
All right, so on to a little bit further south to Indian Creek. Congratulations, Libby Dowdy, on winning the Brownsburg invite. That's huge. Listen to this pace, Mike. 3:25. That's phenomenal. So great job, Libby. She finished a full 19 seconds ahead of a second-place finisher in that race. Ella Nybert finished 20th for the Lady Braves as well with a pace of 3:49. So, again, great work, Libby and Ella. Congratulations on a great race. Boys soccer.
I don't know much about cross-country, but what are they talking about with a 3:25 and a 3:49 pace? That can't be a mile pace.
Yeah, I believe so, right? So they run, it's basically like a 5K, right? So I think they run, what does that equate to? A little over
like 3.1 miles, right?
Yeah. So like when you were talking up Beech Grove, one of their runners ran a 6-minute pace and finished under 19 minutes. So that would be right at about that. So yeah, I mean, that's smoking. I mean, I run them to give you an idea. I can't run because I have artificial knees. Both of my knees have been fully replaced, but I can jog a little bit, and I usually get about a 13-minute pace. Right?
Yeah, that's so. But 3:25 and 3:49 cannot be their mile pace. That is like world record speed.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I wrote something down wrong, but that's what I thought I saw.
That's not you. So. That is Indian Creek trying to spice up their stats. That's what's going on there.
Oh my! All right, boys soccer lost a conference matchup to Tri-West last Saturday, 3-1, and had the same result against Cascade Tuesday, dropping that one 3-1 as well. Girls soccer dropped a pair of contests last Thursday against Shelbyville 3-0 and Saturday to Tri-West 9-0. They will look to rebound Thursday in a conference matchup against Monrovia. On the boys tennis side, they took down the Hauser Jets 5-0 last Thursday. Conference opponent Tri-West 5-0 on Saturday, and they are back in action, I believe, tomorrow against the Seymour Owls. Volleyball stayed hot by defeating Beech Grove 3-0 Monday night. The Lady Braves have not dropped a set in their last 3 matches, Mike. That's pretty solid. They are taking on Whiteland tonight. So that is what is going down at Indian Creek. On to Monrovia.
So, do we know anything about uh, boys tennis with Indian Creek and Triton Central? Have they played each other? Do you have any idea?
I
I
don't
know
believe they've played each other yet, but I think both of those schools do a great job of putting out information. So we'll definitely probably get that result when it
because
happens.
I have to believe that's going to be the conference championship, right? Is between those two
Yeah, I would
schools.
think so.
Yeah, they're doing phenomenal things. So that'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. As Justin previewed a little bit earlier, just we're up to Monrovia now. We're talking about the boys soccer team. The boys dropped a matchup against Lighthouse Christian Academy. They're going to take on Tri-West on Thursday. Girls soccer. After blowout wins over Beach Grove and Speedway, the Bulldogs dropped a heartbreaker to Terre Haute South 4-3 on Monday night, but bounced back to defeat West Vigo by a score of 3-0. So, that's how it works sometimes. You have two outstanding games. You fall a little short to a much bigger school, and then you come back and get that win. That's good coaching. That's the courage, right? I know it's a different school, but it still takes courage, and it takes a lot of heart to come back onto that pitch and win. And then we're talking about Monrovia volleyball. They went 1-2 in their 3 matches. They dropped a contest to that school in Southern Hendricks County. Then they bounced back to defeat Eminence 3-0, and finally lost a conference matchup to Indian Creek 3-0. On Tuesday, they dropped a match to Tri-West, who we talked about, who's on a tear right now in volleyball. Now we're going to the west side of Indianapolis in a little town called Speedway.
Yeah, so we've kind of talked them up a little bit already, but the boys soccer team, they defeated Triton Central last Thursday 6-0. 2 goals apiece for Nelson Kamara and Joey Hevelin, and 1 goal each from Henry Woods and John Thomas. A clean sheet for Tyler Robbins in the cage. Plugs tied 1-1 against Greenwood on Saturday. Sebastian Urdaneta with the lone goal, and on Tuesday they defeated Crawfordsville 5-0. So a lot of good stuff coming from the boys Spark Plugs soccer team. Girls, Lady Spark Plugs dropped a couple of contests last week, losing to conference opponent Tri-West last Thursday 5-1 before falling to Monrovia on Saturday 9-0. On Tuesday, they lost non-conference Greenwood 5-0. And then we were waiting for results on their volleyball team. They took on Ben Davis. Had not seen a result reported from either school on that one yet. So not quite sure what happened in that West Side matchup. But if we get that, we'll be sure to report it via our Twitter account. So that wraps up the information that we've got on Speedway, and we will throw it over to Mike for Tri-West.
All right. Small little town, Liston, Indiana. Big heart, big sports. The boys soccer team, it's been up and down season for the Bruins soccer team. However, they won 2 of their last 3, both of which were conference wins. Most recently, they defeated Indian Creek 3-1 on Saturday. The Bruins got goals from Mason Mendenhall, Evan Tooley, and Carson Wire. They did end up losing a hard match to Mooresville 3-2. And from my understanding, when you say hard-fought match, it seemed like they got really close to some blows there. And that's just a good opportunity to talk about sportsmanship, whether it's from the Tri-West side or the Mooresville side. I wasn't there, but it seems like, that it was a rage a long time ago, a couple years ago, where there were fights everywhere. And I think that's kind of calmed down a little bit. And so if you're listening and you're a parent or a coach or a player, be respectful, right? I know sports is competition, and we get heated in those times. Let's take a couple deep breaths. Let the coaches coach, the players play, and the refs referee, right? It's always a good reminder there. When we're talking about Tri-West girls soccer, I know we talked them up at the beginning of the show, but they defeated Indian Creek on Saturday 9-0. But they did slid by Mooresville 1-0 on Monday. Cool moment in the Indian Creek game as the Bruins standout goalkeeper Allie Miller got some time in the field and ended up scoring 2 goals for the Bruins. Sophomore Jordan Peters is on fire. She had a hat trick in the Indian Creek match and netted the only goal for the Bruins on Monday against Mooresville. And I believe it was Caden Steffi that got the goal tonight versus Chittard.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Boys tennis-wise, Coach Walkie continues to make solid strides this season after dropping a match to conference foe Indian Creek. The boys rebounded to be a solid Fountain Central team, 3-2 on Monday night. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Coach Walkie teach at Fountain Central
He did.
before he came
Yeah.
to Tri-West? So that was kind of like Aaron. Oh man, I'm now gonna sound stupid. Aaron Rodgers moment. Aaron Rodgers moment.
Yeah.
To defeat the Jets on Sunday. Walkie got his Bruins to beat up on the Fountain Central, so nice job. Sophomore Wyatt McMillan gutted out a 3-set thriller to get the deciding point for the Bruins. And on Tuesday, the Bruins got the 5-0 over Speedway. Bruin volleyball. We also highlighted them earlier with Caroline Ward and how good she's doing and how good the whole team is doing. What'd you say? 8-1 over the last 9 matches, I believe, right? Which included beating Carmel. So anytime we can beat Carmel or beat any of these rich schools, I like talking about it.
Yeah.
They continue to play solid volleyball, going 2-1 in the Avon Classic over the weekend, defeating Carmel, Floyd Central, and then they end up losing to Crown Point, as we talked about earlier. The ladies returned home Monday for a rematch with Carmel and swept in 3-0 on youth night and defeated conference foe Monrovia Tuesday 3-0. And then is now coming to be Tri-West's biggest nemesis, Triton Central on the southeast side.
Yeah, congratulations on the boys soccer side of the Tigers on winning their first game of the season by defeating Rushville 6-0 on Monday. Tigers got contributions from the following players: Liam Thompson, 2 goals; Nick Tormolian, 1 goal; Dylan Hayden, 1 goal; Sam Woods, 1 goal; and Evan Mitchell, 1 goal. So a lot of Tigers getting in on the action there. Congratulations to those guys. I'm sure that feels great to get that win. And they are taking on Providence Cristo Rey tonight. Lady Tigers continued their solid season on the pitch, moving to 4-1-1 after defeating Perry Meridian Monday night by a score of 5-0. TC got goals from Pruitt with 2, Walker, Ackerman, and Burnett. Allen had her 5th shutout of the year in the cage for the Lady Tigers. Up next for them, they are at Shelbyville Thursday with their JV taking place at 5:30 and varsity at 7. Boys tennis, after dropping a 4-1 match to Eastern Hancock on Monday night, the Tiger team bounced back to defeat Hauser 5-0. The Tigers are back in action this Saturday in the Shelby County tournament. And on the volleyball court, the Lady Tigers lost a close one to Heritage Christian last Saturday 3-2. However, they bounced back to sweep Morristown on Monday 3-0. They are back in action tonight at Greenwood. So that wraps up all of our results. And again, if you did not hear something from one of your school's programs that you know, please feel free to feed us that information. We would absolutely love to be able to shout out more players, more results, more teams, all of that fun stuff. So that will send us into football. So another really great night, both weather-wise. The scenes have been set. It's been great start to the season to have such beautiful weather. I know it's supposed to warm up again this Friday. We're not quite done with that upper 80s, lower 90s type heat yet here. I'm sure that in a couple weeks we'll be wanting that to come back when we're shivering up in the stands. But Mike, let's just kind of start off here. I know you like to run through some stats. I'll let you kind of take the wheel here for a minute. Feel free to give us some individual stats, or if you want to run through Hoosier Legends overall standings first, whatever you feel best at wanting to run with, go ahead.
So when we look at the overall standings, Triton Central is winning in the conference with a 1-0 record after defeating Tri-West. They're undefeated for the season as well, 3-0. Beech Grove and Indian Creek are both 3-0. Monrovia is 1-2, Speedway 0-3, and Tri-West with a 2-1 record. So let's get some shout outs. Who is leading the conference? When you're talking about the general on the field, the quarterback, Jim Sorgi. How about his son? Jack Sorgi, the quarterback for Tri-West, has 814 yards and 8 touchdowns. Bishop Moore from Beech Grove has 524 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then Matthew Wilkins from Triton Central with 480 yards and 2 touchdowns. When we're going to the running backs, leading the conference is Carson Parks from Beech Grove with 466 yards. Brandon Brown from Triton Central, who had an absolute monster night on Friday, just like Carson Parks did. He has 361 rushing yards. And then Drew Pingleton from Indian Creek, third place right now with 324 yards. Receivers, the Jamar Chases of the Legends Conference. We have Carter Cummings at Tri-West at 302 yards. Jack Scarver from Tri-West with 289 yards. And then Mr. Woods from Beech Grove, 260 yards from him. Overall total touchdowns, Carson Parks is leading the conference with 11 total touchdowns. Ryder Bain from Monrovia and Braden Brown from Triton Central both have 5 touchdowns. We're looking at defense now for tackles. Franklin Will Brenner from Beech Grove has 39 tackles. Gage Tolan from Monrovia has 35 tackles, and so does Peyton Hall from Monrovia and Abe Hayes from Tri-West. Those 3 all have 35 total tackles. Sacks, we got a new sack conference leader. Nate Chapman from Speedway with 3 sacks. He ended up passing Gabe Miller, who's at second place with 2.5 sacks. And then there's Horace Colley from Monrovia with 2 sacks. In the interception game, so these are our defensive backs. Jack Taylor from Monrovia, Colby Schmaltz from Monrovia, and Javier Tanzvich. Let's go with that, from Beech Grove, with all 3 of them having 2 interceptions. And once again, we would like to take this time to apologize for the pronunciations.
Hey, it's always my biggest fear. Whenever Coach Knapp asks me if I want to do any kind of announcing, I'm always just like, I break out in cold sweats. I mean, it's like my biggest fear of like just butchering somebody's name. So we apologize. We try. We do our best. You would think being teachers, we might see certain names a little bit more. We might have to break out the substitute teacher skit from Key and Peele and just start rocking with those kinds of names. But no, in all seriousness, though, congratulations to all of those athletes. Those are well-deserved honors, and to be up in the conference leaders in those categories says a lot. So congratulations to all those guys. All right. Something we want to try to do this week, since we had a little bit more time, we've only got 3 matchups to preview for the upcoming week, is to recap a little bit more in depth the games from last week. So we're going to start off. We've talked about Beech Grove and just the phenomenal job that they've done so far, the hot start, 3-0. When you look at the overall numbers, they're leading the conference in total points scored at 132, but not to be outdone by that, they're also leading the conference in points given up with only 23, right? So, I mean, they are really cooking down there. Last week, they played what is typically a very, very solid Cecina team out of Indianapolis, one of those parochial schools that Mike mentioned a little bit ago, and they absolutely spanked them 60-14. When I saw that score, my eyeballs immediately were like, whoa, they hung 60 on Cecina. That's taken their soul, right? Bishop Moore, 7-12, 80 yards, 3 touchdowns, also ran it 3 times for 57 yards. You mentioned Carson Parks with a massive game, 17 rushes for 196, 3 touchdowns. Tisanovich and Moore also had rushing touchdowns. Woods, Martin, and Edmonds were the reception touchdown leaders for Beech Grove. So just really, I mean, when you run it like the way that Beech Grove did, like I said, you're really just making a statement. You're not just going out, air attack, putting up points real quick. I mean, you're really making a statement there with that. So congratulations to the Hornets on that performance there. Mike, anything you want to add on that, or you want to roll on into Indian Creek?
No, I'm just really impressed with them. They're great. Indian Creek ended up beating Covenant Christian, another parochial school. So good job, Legends, giving it to the parochials. Indian Creek won 52-28. We've talked about in this podcast Indian Creek's passing game, but on Friday it was all about their running game. Rushing attack was led by Pingleton with his 13 rushes for 104 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry. He also had 3 touchdowns. The Braves got contributions from Walters, who had 5 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown, and Carfero, 3 rushes for 18 and a touchdown. Quarterback Evan Clark had 5 carries. He said, everybody else is running the ball. I am too. He got 31 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. So Indian Creek's shown that they can score any way they want, through the air or on the ground.
Yeah, congratulations to the Braves there on that performance. That's really well done. On the west side, Lawrenceburg from southeast Indiana over near the Cincinnati area came up to Speedway and came away with a 42-0 win. Obviously, unfortunately, not much on the offensive side could get going for the Spark Plugs. Lawrenceburg is a talented athletic program. They caused fits all night for the Spark Plugs. However, there was a bright spot on the defensive side, and you mentioned it a little bit ago with conference leaders. Sophomore Nate Chapman, my man, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 6 solo tackles for the Plugs. So that's putting in some work on the defensive side. And you want to know something, that says a lot too when you look at the score of that game and you look at the box score and you see the numbers. Those pop out because that means that young man was hustling his butt off all game long. He was not hanging his head. He was not pouting. He was going out, taking care of business, trying to do everything he can to help a team that, quite honestly, is struggling right now, right? And it's so hard to keep a positive attitude when you're in that rut. But it just kudos to him, and I'm sure he's going to be a great leader for that program, just being a sophomore. So congratulations, Nate, on a really good game on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, so when we're looking at Southern Indiana, I've talked about it before. Southern Indiana can play football, right? And that's where Monrovia is from. They're Southern Indiana, and they came up and they beat 5A Kokomo 22-15.
Whoa. Hold on. Sorry, I'm gonna pull a Kanye West right here on you. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but I gotta step in and say, if we rack the tape up from last week, who called this?
I believe that was me, not you.
Oh, no. I said Monrovia was going to take down the 5A Cats. Congratulations,
That's right.
Bulldog Start. Please
Justin,
proceed.
Yeah, blind squirrel finds a nut, man. That was good. You never know what's going to happen in this podcast. Justin Spears actually getting the call right. So, no, for serious, that was a good call. I didn't think Monrovia had it in them, but they did. They came out and said, hey, we're not going to let our season go down this year. We're going to actually, come back and show the whole conference that we're here, that we're going to compete, and no matter who you throw in front of us, we're going to win and do our best. So, congratulations to Monrovia and beating that 5A team. The Bulldogs' rushing attack was the answer. That's what they do. That's what they're great at, and Kokomo was on the receiving end of it. Junior Cowan Stinson and sophomore Ryder Bain each carried the ball 20 times, so they're spilling the love, giving the love to everybody there. Stinson ended up having 101 yards, and Bain racked up 175 yards. Bain also had 2 of the 3 touchdowns for the Bulldogs, with senior Clay Thacker getting the 3rd. Shout out to the Bulldogs defense too. They had 48 assist tackles, so that's gang tackling. That's everyone jumping in on that pile and making sure that one person doesn't have to do it alone. To put that into perspective, Kokomo only had 13. So you're talking about team effort, team defense, and you see what happens, and those are the wins. When you just try to go by yourself, typically end up on the losing side there. So the Bulldogs were swarming to the ball, and they shut down the Cats 22-15. Justin Spears with the call. Congratulations.
Yeah, I've seen some Monrovia football, and running it 40 times for 276 yards, that will demoralize another football team. I don't care how big you are. That's a lot of heart and determination. So congratulations to the Bulldogs. That could be a saving season win for them to kind of keep, we talked about with Speedway on the other end. That could be something that rallies the Bulldogs as their schedule, probably get maybe a little bit easier. I don't know. I mean, they started off pretty tough with those first 2 opening games. So congratulations to them. All right, Mike, I know you got some stuff to say about this, but I will kind of run our recap here for the Triton Central Tri-West game. Triton Central travels out to the west side for the I-74 showdown, 51 miles on 74. Triton Central's ground attack helped control this game with senior Braden Brown carrying 26 times for $197 and 2 TDs. The passing game did just enough to keep the Bruins honest. Tri-West had several opportunities to pull away, turning the Tigers over twice with INTs, but could not convert. Jack Sorgi was 13 of 20 for 206 with a TD and an INT. The ground game was led by Braxton Fleece with 18 carries for 93 yards. Shout out to junior Abe Hayes, who led the Bruins with 13 total tackles. So I know you and I talked about this game a little bit. It was kind of the matchup of the two undefeateds coming in, the new rivalry, everything like that. It lived up to everything that we thought it would be in terms of a close game. I think thought that Tri-West might pull away a little bit from this one. Just couldn't get it going. It was kind of like stuck in neutral type of thing all night long. Didn't look super sharp and crisp. What were your thoughts as you watched that game back?
Sadness, crying, temper tantrum. That was all what was going through my mind as I watched this game. Give it up to Triton Central. That is a very, very well-coached team. They are very good at the fundamentals. They know what they can do. They did it. They blocked well. They tackled hard. Good for them. Tri-West just did not bring it. I don't know if that is a young team thinking that, hey, we're 3-0 and we can just go out here and win. I'm not sure, but I know Coach Ward is going to have these boys ready for this week against Speedway. So when I watched that game, it seemed to me that Tri-West lost more than Triton Central won. I get it. If you're a Triton Central fan, you hate me right now, and that's totally fine. I'm a homer. But Tri-West had multiple opportunities. You talked about those 2 interceptions that they could have done something with. They missed a field goal. They were 0-4 in the red zone, right? So give all the props to Triton Central, right? Their defense stepped up, right? So there is that. But man, Tri-West just could not get out of their own way. But I have to talk about the pass interference call that Triton Central, I want to say it was the fourth quarter. It could have been the second quarter. I don't really remember. But they caught a deep ball, right? There's pass interference on Tri-West. We all agreed it was a pass interference. But then the officials gave 15 yards where the catch was, right? So the interference, the guy caught it, and then they tacked on another 15 yards from there. I don't understand that call. I was at a college game on Saturday. That's not how they do it, right? I don't know where or why that happened. If you're an official, email me the rules. Tell me I'm an idiot, right? Educate me, please. That play did not cost Tri-West the game. It did not get Triton Central the win. Triton Central was a better football team on Friday night. That's why they won. But, man, that just made absolutely zero sense to me.
Yeah, that was a puzzling call. I was up in the booth running the play clock for that game. And, we kind of all looked at each other like, that's not how that's enforced. If you don't catch it, then you take the penalty. If you do catch it, you decline the penalty and take the ball where you caught it from, unless it's less than the penalty yardage would be, which in the case of the pass was much longer than the penalty yardage would be. But like you said, thankfully, honestly, in all seriousness, thankfully it didn't affect the outcome of the game. But that one was a little bit of a head scratcher there with that. So, like you said, kudos to the Triton Central Tigers for coming out, taking care of business, shutting down what was a high-powered Tri-West offense, holding them to 14 points at home on their opening night. New rivalry. That ought to just make the boys hungry, and hopefully they'll come back, ready to go this week, focused and energized and ready to get back in that win column. So with that, let's go ahead and preview our Friday night matchups. As we talked about, only 3 games this week with all conference matchups. So let's start for what, in my opinion, is probably the game of the week, although you can make a case that Monrovia at Triton Central is going to be a really, really good football game. But you got 3-0 Beech Grove at 3-0 Indian Creek. Again, this one's down at Braves Field in Trafalgar. Both teams on a roll, doing really great things right now. And again, when you look at what both teams have put together offensively, you might think there's going to be some fireworks in this thing. And usually, sometimes when it looks like that, it ends up being a defensive struggle, right? Or it's just when you think that both high-powered offenses are going to take the field and light the scoreboard up, it ends up being a 9-6 game or something like that. Harrell's got this projected at 28-27 in favor of Beech Grove. I like the call of Beech Grove here in this one, just based off the eye test of what we've seen so far this season. I'm sure there's probably a little bit more of like, if you were to go back and look at the pedigree of the teams, maybe an increase a little bit more consistent program. Maybe they, quote unquote, know how to win these types of games, where as a young up and coming team, maybe, if it gets into a tight contest, Beech Grove hasn't quite been there yet this year. I just see too much athleticism from early on in the season on the Beech Grove side. I see this one maybe as like a 28-17 win for Beech Grove.
Yeah, I think so. I think Beech Grove will win this game. I think you're probably really right, really close to that. I was thinking 28-21 Beech Grove. But if it's an extra point or a field goal type of difference, that doesn't surprise me. Two really, really good young quarterbacks dueling it out. It's going to be a fun game. I wish I could be there. I will be at the Tri-West Speedway game, so I won't be, but that will be, in my opinion, the best game on Friday night for the Legends. So my prediction would be Beech Grove 28-21.
All right, that takes us down to the southeast side and the aforementioned Triton Central Tigers, as they will be at home to take on the Monrovia Bulldogs. Again, Monrovia's start to the season with Cascade, who's just a juggernaut this year, and then the Linton Stockton Miners, always a good program. They bounced back and get that win last week. Triton Central, just a gritty football team, finds a way to win. When you look at their 3 performances this year, nothing, just shows you that they're going to come in and blow you out. But no matter what kind of game it is, they're going to be right in there. Like you said, really well coached, really fundamentally sound, can run the ball, can control the clock. They're not going to beat themselves, even with some mistakes here and there. I just see, Triton Central, with the way that they're rolling right now, being probably a little too much for Monrovia. I know home field advantage maybe not be as big of a deal in the high school game as it might be in like college or pro level, but still there's some comfort to playing at home. I don't see a letdown here for Triton Central. I see them wanting to assert themselves in the conference and keep their foot on the gas here. Harrell's got this 24-17. I think that's probably pretty close. I think this is probably going to be even maybe a little bit lower scoring game. Both teams can probably play some pretty solid defense when they need to. I see this as maybe like a 13-6 type of game for Triton Central.
I am going Triton Central 17-14. Their field goal kicker is amazing. Wouldn't be surprised if he kicks 2 field goals in this game, to make it like a 20-7 game. But it's going to be really, really close. I do expect Triton Central to get the win here. Monrovia's going to put up a good fight, but Triton Central is just too well coached. Anytime, you're going to go against up to Coach Abel, I'm probably going to give him the nod in this conference. He showed me on Friday night what he's all about and what these Triton Central Tigers are about. So until I'm proven wrong, I'm going Triton Central is going to win this conference.
Yeah, and if both teams run the ball the way they did the week before, each team might only have about 5 possessions total in this game. We already mentioned, Monrovia running the ball 40 times with their 2 running backs, and we know what Triton Central can do with their stud running back as well. So if the defensive show up and they run the ball a lot, it could be a punt fest, and whoever gets the ball last may come out ahead. But I think I agree with you that Triton Central probably just has a little bit too much in this matchup. All right, moving on to the west side. Tri-West Bruins hop on the bus, make the trip down 74 to Speedway to take on the Spark Plugs. So Tri-West again coming in at 2-1, Speedway at 0-3 on the season. I know there's been a lot of fanfare with the remake of the Speedway stadium, the turf, the the press box or grandstand area. Some really cool, things going on there in that regard. I know this has been a tough season for Coach Clampett and the boys. And again, this is just one where you hope that you can spotlight some growing things, things to build upon for the future and whatnot. And you just hope you don't lose the locker room and lose those guys. I've been on coaching staffs before where the season has been lost pretty early, and it's miserable. It's hard. I know you're showing up every day for practice. You're showing up for games, and you're just not getting the results that you want to get. So unfortunately for Speedway, I do see this one going pretty one-sided here to the Bruins. I think there might be a little bit of frustration built up that the boys look to take out this week as well. Harold's got this one 42-14. I'm just going to say I agree with that. I don't see it much different than that. I see some JV time in the second half, possibly for the Bruins, and that probably limits the number getting run up even more. But that's what I would see pretty handily here for this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think Tri-West is going to win, and they're going to win pretty easily. I would hope, think that was true. Tri-West have been bitten by that injury bug this week, so we'll see who can come out there and play and who can't. Man, I think this is going to be a 35-7 game, right? So just right along with you at 42-14, probably just a couple less points. I don't know, man. Tri-West really let me down. And with those injuries, I think prior to last Friday, I would say this was gonna be a 49-7 game. But I think we probably took a hit on our offense a little bit. So 35-7. Get out, get the win, and move on to play those rivals from Southern Henry County next week. That's gonna be what Coach Ward's thinking about. Is just try not to get injured, try to get this win, and then, like you said, get the JV in, and let's just all go home safe. So that's what's going to happen on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that takes us through the rundown of Friday Night Lights previews for the upcoming week. It looks like it's going to be another fantastic, exciting week of Friday Night Lights. So congratulations to all the teams that won last week, and good luck to all those conference matchups this week. I know it's kind of hard, being like you and I have talked about, Tri-West people, when we get into these conference matchups, we're providing, kind of what we see. It's not that we're necessarily rooting for one team over another, just kind of going based off of what we see there. So I for one, don't mind being proven wrong every now and then. So who knows, maybe we'll see an upset here or there. So, all right, Mike, before we put a bow on this episode, anything you want to add in?
Just be legendary, Coach. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Be legendary, guys. Go out there and make it a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Hoosier Legends Weekly Podcast.